So this is Jeff Steiner at the Dad's Resource Center. I have Jason Gwilliam with me today. Jason is one of the hundreds of fathers who have reached out to the Dad's Resource Center, struggling to be in the lives of his child or children due to the family courts or county and human services systems. Um, a lot of the fathers, well, pretty much every father who reaches out has says, "I want something to come from this. I want to be able to do something that changes things or that helps fathers who not have to go through what I've gone through." And it, the hearts are always in the right place, right? But what they're trying to take on is so incredibly daunting. And they're managing their own lives and their own personal situations and fighting through all of that and being there for their children. Their heart's in the right place, their head might even be in the right place, but we're only human and there's only so much that we can do. Now, there are some people like Dr. Joel M. Myers and Mark Lynch, who founded the Dad's Resource Center, who have the capacity and ability to be able to do some things. And I've had some fathers who've reached out who've been able to do different things. And we always like to take the opportunity to promote those endeavors for them to show, to validate what they're trying to do and what they've gone through, as well as getting that information out because it could potentially be helpful to other people who are going through these things. So, subsequent to our initial contact, Jason actually had written and published a book, "Surviving the Storm: A Father's Journey Through Divorce," and he has that up. I believe it's on Amazon. Is that correct, Jason?
Yeah, it's I self-publisher through Amazon. That is correct.
All right. And just kind of the top lines in this, and it's kind of a combination, or I guess it's telling the story to be able to tell the story, but also being able to um, uh, lay out the path or a possible path for fathers to be able to get on the other side of these things. And so, as uh, the Amazon page and the information on the book illustrate here, that's what he's trying to do with all of this. So I thought I'd share that first before we got going. And then we can kind of open up the discussion here. So good morning, Jason.
Hey, good morning. How are you this morning?
All right. All right. So if you're okay with it, can you share a little bit about yourself and your situation as it pertains to you and your children or child?
So thanks for having me on. I think, I've been divorced now for about going on 5 years. And I have three kids. I have a 19-year-old who's a freshman in college. I have a 17-year-old and I have a 14-year-old, two girls and a boy. I'm in the suburbs of Philadelphia. I'm in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. And, initially, when you're served divorce papers, it's a little bit of a shock and an awe, for lack of a better word. And then you don't really know what to do. Like, do I get a lawyer? Do I not get a lawyer? Who do I talk to? There's really no guidebook on it. There's no playbook. And you learn really quickly that it's kind of a gauntlet. You have lawyers telling you one thing and you want to do another. The financial aspect of it is just it drains you financially. But the one thing I want to be very clear on, I was married for almost 20 years. And the one thing that I want to be very clear on to your listeners and to the group is that even though I was served divorce papers, I didn't think about myself. I didn't think about I thought about my kids. What's best for them? What can we do to make this as undisruptive as possible for my kids? I'm a child of divorce. My parents got divorced when I was in fifth grade, but my parents were actually better parents and partners after they got divorced. Both of my parents were a part of my lives. In every aspect. My mom's family still welcome my dad. My dad's family welcome my mom. We spent Christmases together, holidays together, major events together, everything. My journey over the past 4 years has been like walking over hot coals. It's painful. Um, Again, getting back to the root, it's all about what's best for the kids. And that's all I cared about. It's not about money. It's not about ego or grudges. It's about what's best for the kids and being the best parents for your kids as possible. And it really has not been that for me. I've been systematically kind of removed from my kids' lives over the past 4 years. It's kind of been like a process. And I have been to court in Montgomery County now. Um, for I've probably been to court at least 12 times over the last year. And it hasn't been because I've been a bad parent. It's not because I've done something that violates the custody order. It's all been about money, and that's it.
No, that's your experience is similar to far too many people who work through these things, as you said, your parents did, in the way that the focus is on doing what is best for the children, and they work collegially, manner like that. But what happens in the court enables it. It's got all these different components to it that can be taken advantage of when people choose to misuse those systems in a way to be vindictive or hurtful or narcissistic. And one of the things in observing these things, I've been to dozens of counties here in Pennsylvania looking at court hearings with fathers and even more judges. And if they would just take control of the process and not let that happen, most of it would not happen. So instead of saying, well, this is what they're saying about you, what do you, I don't want to hear you talking about the other person, what they are or aren't doing. I want to hear you say what you're going to do in this situation and put it on the record. Right. And then that's all I want to hear from you is what you're going to do to make this work. And then if I got to come back and you haven't done that, we're going to have issues. And if they would just take control of their courtrooms instead of letting all these factors that you've kind of led into there, it would eliminate a lot of this. So I don't know what your experience has been in that regard.
My background is I've been in the medical and healthcare field for 25 years. So I come from a very different background, but than my ex does. And we were a family where once my first child was born, my ex became a stay-at-home mom because we were fortunate enough where I could go ahead and make enough money to support the family, but also we had two more kids in that process. So, I thought we were very, very lucky, very fortunate to be in that position. And I won't lie, when you're a single family income in today's world and you're responsible for three kids and a spouse, it's not easy. I don't care how much money you make. It can be hard. And I think over time that took a toll on me. The stress of that took a toll on me mentally, physically, however you want to word it. But at the end of the day, we lived a good life. And I don't know where the train went off the track, but one day I was working from home. It was post COVID, and next thing you know, boom, divorce papers. And like I said, it kind of hit me. But I guess to get to the point, Jeff, I've been to court over 12 times in the last year, all over support and money. I've had three attorneys. I actually have a support modification hearing on Monday this week on February 3rd at 11 a.m. with Montgomery County. Then I have a medical expense hearing on February 20th in front of a judge. I've had now follow the bouncing ball. I've had three attorneys. My three attorneys have said they have never seen the amount of medical expenses I've had to pay in their whole career. Now, last year, my ex and her attorney filed contempt against me for $15,000 in medical expenses. $15,000. In a 6-month period last year, from January 1st, 2024 to June 2024, I paid my ex $30,000 in support and medical expenses. $30,000. Now, that's a lot of money. I don't care how big your wallet is, how big your bank account is, it's a lot of money. That wiped me out. I had to move out of my townhome. I had to move in with my parents. It's because paying lawyers, paying support, supporting the family. I had to start over again from scratch. When I was served divorce papers, I moved out 3 months later with the clothes on my back and started over from scratch. Literally, found an apartment, started over from scratch. I don't think the public, the courts, you, me, don't really, there's not a lens or a light that's shown on this that says, hey, this is what's really happened. And when you start talking about what's really happening, all of a sudden you become the enemy because people don't want the truth to be out there. They don't want to go, well, hey, here's Jason or here's Jeff who wants to be a part of the kids' lives. They are actively supporting their kids through financial support, which is child support, which is one way to be a part of their lives. But in my case, it's vexatious litigation. I just get brought to court over money. That's it. It's not because I was a bad parent. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. It's all over money. That's the root cause of all this. If like it's like the when you find the string on a sweater and you start pulling it, that's the string. It's the money is the string, and that's what that's the only thing they can come at me for is money, because they know I have a good job, and they can come after me for it. Because we have joint legal and shared custody of the kids, and people know in Pennsylvania that means both parents are involved in the decision making of medical, schools, etc. Um, Over the past 4 years, and my three attorneys, and me even being per se, we have documented proof of my ex making unilateral decisions. Oh, Jason said he can't afford braces for the next 3 months. I'm going to go out and do it anyway, and then I still have to pay for it, even though I didn't agree. My ex signed a contract for $5,000 for my kids to get braces, but I'm still on the hook for it, even though there's email documentation through email and the parenting app saying we need to hold on this so we can figure out finances. But at the end of the day, if that custody agreement is a legal binding document that says both parents have a say and you have to agree on it, if one parent goes out and does it against the other parent's wishes, the other parent's still held responsible for it, which makes no sense. And what I'm trying to articulate is I'm all for medical care for my kids, but I'm the guarantor on the insurance. I'm financially responsible as the guarantor. So if my ex goes out and signs a contract, how am I legally held liable for that when she signed that contract and not me? Does that make sense? That's what I'm dealing with in the family court system here in Montgomery County.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, absolutely. So if you don't mind me asking, so it's like dental costs? Is this what it is, or?
It's dental costs, it's medical costs. Our one daughter who's no longer on she's now off. She's emancipated. So she had a medical condition that did require some very expensive medication. But even with that being said, Jeff, I am very seldomly consulted or even a factor when these kind of decisions are being made. I'm often um like the last one to know. Like my daughter missed school on Thursday or was taken out of school early on Thursday. My ex didn't tell me until 3 hours after the fact that she was taking pulling my daughter out of school for the day. So like it's very like all I want is to have a co-parenting relationship with my ex, and it seems like it's impossible. Like after like I said, we've been separated and divorced now for almost 5 years. My ex will not pick up the phone and call me. She won't send me a text message on my phone. She will only communicate with me through these parenting apps. And I don't know what your opinion is on it, but they're subpar at best. And they're not always like the most timely. Like I don't understand why, if you're a parent of kids, why you just can't pick up the phone and call someone and say, hey, so and so is sick, they're coming home from school, or send a quick text message, hey, so and so is coming home, or whatever. Like I said, it's been 4 years. My ex hides behind these apps, and she doesn't do things until her attorney tells her to do it. And you know, and again, this is not a male versus female thing or a mom versus dad thing, but I think if I acted the way my ex has acted, I would have been held in contempt and probably even worse.
Yeah, especially given your background now in terms of working in the medical supplies field,
Yeah.
would it, some of these medical issues, could you possibly have come up with a better alternative to be able to address them that might be better cost and not as cost prohibitive?
Well, yeah, yes and no, but I think at the end of the day, when you're a parent, when you get divorced, you don't stop being a parent.
Mhm.
And you still have to deal with these issues head on. Like your kids get sick, let's talk about it. But with my ex, she takes this unilateral approach, like it's my way or the highway kind of deal. Like she has to have complete control. And she uses my medical expenses like an American Express Black Card. She just runs them up. And a prime example is that these medical expense hearings that we have coming up, if you go to the Montgomery County Domestic Relations website and look under child support reimbursement medical expenses, it clearly articulates and says, this is what's covered, this is what's not covered. And she has submitted close to $6,000 in therapy bills for my kids. Therapy is not covered under Montgomery County DRS. And she's been told that numerous times. And not only that, but when you do these medical expenses, I'm sure it varies county by county. They have my ex has to send me the medical expenses, like the bills, the whatever, the claims, whatever. Well, when we had this medical expense call back in December, and what we found is that one of the therapy providers, a company, I'm not gonna say the company's name, but my ex was getting the bills from the company. It was on the company letterhead. It was coming to her home, but with my name and her address. And she was opening up the bills, but not sending them to me. Now, here's my point. How does she know that I wasn't using that company for therapy? So I created a legal stink on this, basically saying it's illegal for her to open up email. It's coming to her home in my name. And furthermore, I actually called this company and said, do you have my correct address on file? And they were like, no, this is the address your spouse provided. And I was like, that's not accurate. So I actually did my own due diligence and called the company and said, this is not right. So I think you can see, I hope I'm trying to paint a picture of you of what I'm up against here and kind of what I'm facing. Because if, again, flip the script, if that was me doing that to my ex, I would be in a world of hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
But it's because it's the mom. It's like, oh, it's fine. Oh, no problem. I mean, and that's like, and so the part of me writing this book was to share my journey, but to let people know that you're not the only one out there. And again, I talk to plenty of moms too. There's people there's a woman I'm working with right now who used to be a gal down in North Carolina, and she's also a court reporter. And she's become like kind of like you're gonna laugh, but she's become like my family court and parental alienation Sherpa, because she's helping me kind of guide. She's helping me navigate this storm. That's why I call it surviving the storm, because I'm navigating this. I'm a boat in the water navigating this storm, because parental alienation is real. Narcissism is real. And for the life of me, and I'll say this to you because I've said it to everyone else, no matter how mad I may or may not be at my ex, I would never do what she's done to me and create this impact that's having on me and my kids. Never. I don't care like what like at the end of the day, we're parents and our kids are all that matters to me. But for some reason, she's putting her own feelings and ego above all of that, which doesn't make any sense to me.
That's pretty much in a nutshell how these things usually spin out of control. So, as you relay in the book, though, on kind of a personal level, um, can you communicate, taking away the practical aspects and just
Yep.
your personal experience? Um, you talk about mental health and that initial surge and that being overwhelming. And I tell people this, one of the things in the human services systems that is just preempt is trauma, right? And the
Oh
discussion
yeah.
of trauma-informed care. And talking to hundreds of fathers, right? I know what trauma is when I see it. And they don't recognize that, like you said, with a father. And so from that perspective, can you talk about that in the way that you've kind of reinvented yourself, as you said in your book description and those types of things? Can you talk about some of those aspects of this journey and this process for you?
Yeah, so it is deeply personal for me. It's something that actually, if I could do it full time, I would. So last July, at the end of last July, I was laid off from a job. I was working for I kind of took a pivot from my medical device and healthcare career and started doing some work on the software as a service IT side, working for a PR company. And it was a great job. I was working from home, didn't have to travel. It was great. I got laid off again in July, and when you're paying child support on top of being laid off, that's like the walls just caved in on me. But through my network of friends and God for that matter, I landed a job in 6 weeks, a great job in 6 weeks. People from a previous company came out of the woodwork and said, hire this guy. He's worth it. And literally, interviewed, got this job in 6 weeks. I was literally on unemployment maybe like for 3 weeks, but family court attacked me. This guy's not working. He can't pay child support. It's like, wait a minute. I was laid off. I didn't quit. I didn't stop working. I was laid off, out of my control. And I'm getting to the whole mental health thing. So the job I took, I was going to be traveling throughout the Northeast. And as you know, child support, custody time, all that stuff. And there's a lot of pressure on you. So the travel piece, starting the new job, having a lot of pressure on me because I was going back into sales, which I hadn't done in a long time, have a quota I have to hit, et cetera. All these opposing forces just came in on me, and I had a major mental breakdown at the end of October of last year. Um, my ex and her attorney weaponized my job against me because I was never home. Oh, he's not taking care of his kids. He's travel. It's like, no. You can't have your cake and eat it too. It's like, I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. If I don't pay support, you're going to hold in contempt of court. But if I'm traveling, working, and making money and paying support, and I have to travel to do that, you're telling me I'm an absent father. So which one do you want? Um, I ended up entering an intensive outpatient program, an IOP. I'm sure you know what that is. And I was diagnosed with major depression, anxiety, and PTSD, all from family court. And I am a military veteran, by the way. That was a long time ago, but none of this stems from the military. And the IOP was 4 nights a week, 3 hours a night. Very intense. But if for anyone that's listening to this, if there's one message I can take away to you and your viewers and your team is that do not ever, ever put your mental health on the back burner. Get the help you need. I was in a group of people. There was transgender people, very diverse group of people. They saved my life. I'm going to start crying, but they saved my life. I mean, but here's what I was up against. My employer was not supportive of me doing these IOPs. So I had to be home 5 days. Basically, I had to be home 4 nights a week. So I had to go to the IOP, right? Because you have to do it in person. So working with my therapist, my team of physicians, I end up going on short-term disability so I can finish my IOP. Family courts weaponized that against me. My ex's attorney, there's emails between my ex's attorney and the county defaming me, saying I'm playing games, I'm doing this, that, and the other, because I had given them the treatment letters, therapy letters. I'm in IOP. Her attorney to the county saying I'm playing games, he's not being serious. They filed contempt of child support against me because I was on short-term disability. This is for real. This is not. I wish I was telling you a lie, but I'm being completely honest with you. And it devastated me. I'm like, here's a person who is outwardly screaming for help, getting the help they need. And I don't know what your experience is, but the amount of people that came to my defense and said, this guy right here is brave for getting help and talking about the help he's getting and why he's doing it. Like but then to have the family courts weaponize it and attack me, it blew my mind. Because again, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But I guess my point to all this is getting the therapy, getting the help gave me the strength and the voice to do what I'm doing now. I'm advocating. I'm out there on social media. I mean, if people don't like the story I'm telling, that's fine, but I'm telling the truth. I'm not here to defame anybody. I'm not here to vilify anybody. I'm here to say the system is broken. And it's broken because of these reasons. If this is truly a system where it's about the kids and about parents, if my ex was in therapy, I would do everything I can to support her and make sure the kids were supporting her. That was not my case. That was held against me. It's to a point now where I've actually filed complaints with the State Bar Association Judicial Board because through some research, my ex's attorney broke several rules of professional conduct by defaming me to family court over email and filing contempt against me for child support when they knew I was on short-term disability and in therapy. It's like this is going to sound grim, but it's like I died, but they're still going to file contempt against me because I'm not paying child support. So getting back to the book and my story is that my goal, if I can help one person through my book, through talking to you, I did my job. It's not about the money. I want parents to know that they have a voice, they deserve to be heard, and not be afraid to speak up.
Thank you very much for that. We have various months that are mental health months and things like that.
I'm not afraid to share my story. If you want more, like I said, for me, this is not about being vindictive. I guess you mentioned that word earlier, but I'm sure you're well aware of this. But with AI and Chat GBT and some other things, I did my own personal research, looked up case laws and stuff like that. And her attorney did, in fact, violate several rules of professional conduct by filing contempt against me when I was on short-term disability, and he knew it. The email he sent to the county accusing me of playing games when I was asking for ADA accommodations, but also asking for continuances for support hearings and attacking me for that when it was within my legal right violates RPCs. So, I have a lawyer now, but I'm not going to stop advocating and fighting for my rights and calling people out and holding them accountable. Because if they're going to hold me accountable, guess what? That door goes two ways. The street goes in two directions. If you're going to hold me accountable, I'm going to hold you accountable. Because at the end of the day, we're all parents. I'm not an ATM. I'm not a debit card. I'm a parent, and my kids deserve more than money. They deserve to have both parents in their lives full time.
Yeah, so the way the system is set up, again, I, you know, I said about how they need to take control of their courtrooms. Like these things get treated because family court judges who do custody also most times, if not always, do the children and youth and dependency hearings with children who are in the system because of abuse or neglect. Okay.
Right.
And so
Right.
they kind of flip from this civil issue, a disagreement between people, into this mode where fathers are being held to the standards in a dependency hearing. As you've said a number of times, there's no abuse, there's no neglect, right? Nothing like that. But you are held in the standard of someone who has abused or neglected their children. And again, that's just we could have a long conversation about these, and I hope you're successful in trying to have some accountability there. The way that attorneys misuse the system, and sometimes judges let these things happen or rule in this way. But as you know, the system is set up to make holding them accountable really difficult, and it's a long road. And so I hope you're able to get. And actually, I just connected with someone from a session I did Friday with a group of father advocates in Colorado who is working a lot on mental health issues in court that you just relate. So I'm going to also share this with him because we're talking on Monday. And I think he'll find what you said to be informative. And I think what he's working on out in Colorado.
Yeah, and I think and again, you're definitely more versed in this than I am, and you have a definite you have a much higher level view than I do. I'm kind of like down at the bottom level, and you're looking 30,000 foot view, so you can see across the state of Pennsylvania. But a few things strike me as odd. Is that why are the courts closed in Montgomery County? Why can't they have court watchers? What are they afraid of? Like in Montgomery County, you can't have some so one of my contempt hearings for child support in June, I had to go in front of a judge. And I was pro se at the time, so I was scared, not gonna lie. But my parents live in Delaware, they were gonna come up and support me, but they wouldn't let him in the courtroom. I can go sit in OJ Simpson's trial for murdering five people, but you can't let my parents or someone come in over a child custody over child support. Like I find that a little odd. So I think there's like some structural issues within the family court system. What are they hiding? Because we both know it's $1 billion industry. They know the money is being swept under the rug, and they're laughing in the back rooms when they're done. But also, if you think about the process of family court, child support, whatever, I'll give you a real life story that happened to me in August. There was a child. I had another child support modification hearing because I had started a new job. So my pay was obviously changing, etc. I attend this hearing pro se. It's done on Zoom with a hearing officer or a hearing person. And I'm going to tell you the story, and I'm going to see if you can tell me what's wrong with this before I tell you what's wrong. Get on the Zoom. I had provided all of my financials, pay stubs from the last year, taxes, whatever. Um, and then, oh, other reason for the child support hearing was also because my daughter was emancipated. She turned 18 and she graduated from high school in June. So we were going from 3 kids down to 2. So 3 kids on child support, I was paying around $3,000 a month. After that hearing, 2 kids on child support, I'm now up to $4,600 a month. Now, let me tell you what happened. You know, when you have a child support hearing, before the hearing, both parties, plaintiff and defendant, are supposed to have an opportunity to either give the financial records, pay stubs, W-2s, whatever. And also in Pennsylvania, the law states that child support is based off of current or past income, not future income. So this hearing takes place. I was never provided any of my ex's financial information before that hearing. Never saw a pay stub, never saw a W-2. And they based child support off of what I was going to be earning, not what I earned. So you can see the issue here. I don't know how common this is, but I've called this out several times and they're like, deny, deny, deny. Like, we don't want to hear it. And even my attorney's like, there's nothing you can do about it. I'm like, bullcrap. I'm like, this is a structural error. They did not follow their own rules. And I said, this is not a criminal hearing. This is a family court hearing and it can be appealed. I don't care if it's 90 days, 100 days, 6 months, 2 years. They broke their own rules. I was pro se. They took advantage of me because I was pro se. And they broke their own rules. So you can't tell me I can't call this out because, her attorney knows that before these support hearings, they have to provide this information. It was never provided to me. I provided my information, they provided me. But then the county went ahead and projected child support based off of what my future income was going to be, not what I was making already.
Now, I haven't been through all of that, right?
Okay.
So I can't say from a personal perspective, but my understanding is that you can then swing that back into the court of the common pleas, right? You can appeal it to the court of the common pleas, right? Is that correct?
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, they say there's like a 90-day window on this.
Yeah.
And here's the problem. This happened in August of 2024.
Yeah.
And I was literally 2 weeks later, I got an attorney again because I had enough money saved up. But I had started a new job. And honestly, Jeff, I was dealing with so many other things in the family court stuff that really didn't, it was almost like a lightning bolt. Like I literally, like, about a month ago, I was kind of like, because we're having this modification hearing on Monday, and we had a modification hearing in November after the August hearing, but I didn't bring it up then because I still hadn't, like, it hadn't, like, sunk in. But my point is that I brought this up to my attorney. I said, regardless, law is the law. They didn't follow the law. If you can Google it, you can look at it up on ChatGPT. It clearly states that in Pennsylvania, for a child support hearing, both parties must exchange information. Like, literally, like this hearing I'm having on Monday, my attorney and I spoke yesterday. Guess what I got an hour later? My ex's financials. That didn't happen in August. And they also projected my support off of future earnings, what I'm going to earn, not what I have. That all violates rules, statutes, and laws in Pennsylvania. And so laws are laws and rules are rules. If they break them, they need to be held accountable. That's my opinion. So that's why we're having a hearing on Monday in front of a hearing master because, number one, why would they raise support from going from 3 kids down to 2? But also because they're like, it just doesn't make sense to me that the process is broken. And again, they're not going to put me in jail for speaking up. I'm calling out something that happened, and they need to tell me why and be held accountable for it.
It's one of the themes with men that through these types of situations, honor, integrity, honesty, and this is not a system where those values really exist or predominant, and so that kind of was one of the things that blows the wires for guys because you see all these things happening and it just people aren't looking at it from that perspective.
But also, and again, you're sitting at 30,000 feet. I'm down at 5,000 feet. What I have found recently, more so over the past probably 4 or 5 months, the minute you start calling them out and quoting their rules against them, they get awfully defensive. They're
Yeah.
like, whoa, 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 flag on the play. What's going on? And I'm like, no, because another example is that with these medical expenses, for example, this is for you and your viewers and listeners. If I don't know if you're aware of this, but in Pennsylvania, there is a statute. If you're paying extraordinary medical expenses, which in my case I have, that also checks a box that says we need to reduce that person's child support because they're paying above and beyond what they should be paying.
Okay.
So that's another reason why I'm having this hearing on Monday is because I have this hearing on Monday, February 3rd. Then on February 20th, we're going in front of a judge because my ex is asking for another $10,000 in medical expenses. That would be $25,000 in about a year, just for if you're keeping up. And so again, this can be edited out, but I'm kind of calling bullshit on it and flag on the play going, this is not like this is not a slot machine. This is not an ATM where you can just come into the till and pull in money from it because at some point something has to stop. And so like I don't know what percentage of people that you talk to are pro se versus having an attorney.
I would say that the majority at some point have had to do pro se. If they
Okay.
aren't currently pro se, yes. Yeah.
So here's my 2 cents for you and your viewers and listeners and the people that are a part of this amazing group. I have leveraged the power of being pro se with my current attorney to now where I'm almost telling him what to do versus him telling me what to do because he realizes now after me having him as my attorney for about 6 months that I almost know more than he does. I will send him motions and case laws and statutes and be like, hey brother, this is the law. You're not going to tell me you can't do this when you can do it. I mean, and listen, we live in a very unique time, but AI is out there. ChatGPT is out there. I have ChatGPT. I have ChatGPT Law. I'm a part of another dad's group called Pro Say Dads on Facebook, and we have the Pro Say Dad AI app. Let me tell you something. I don't know if courts are paying attention or not. I know you're paying attention, but if they're not paying attention, they need to start paying attention because we are now more educated, informed, and prepared than we ever have in the last 5 years I've been doing this. You've probably been doing this a lot longer, but your opinion would probably be the same to see it nod in your head. But we are educated and informed, and attorneys are scared for that now because they know that we're coming in with information that typically you couldn't get unless you were on Westlaw or went to law school.
Yeah. Again, of all the many fathers who go through this that I've talked to, there are definitely a number of them who reach the point of being masters of all of this themselves.
Yeah.
And are capable of actually representing themselves better than what attorneys had represented them. I got a father down here in Center County who's just extraordinary representing himself. And there's some other fathers who have that capacity too. But that's one of the things that when you get into this, you don't know that you just think the attorneys know best and that the attorneys will do what is best. And most of them do not. And you got to be able to know what you want and make them do what you want to do, even if that results in them kind of firing you as much as what they can do that.
Yeah, and again, selfishly or not, when I filed these complaints against my ex's attorney to the Bar Association, I used ChatGPT Law and ChatGPT because I went in there and typed out my scenario and said, does this violate rules of professional conduct? And guess what it did? It spit out the exact rules and the numbers provided by the State Bar Association. It said, these are the 3 RPCs that were violated. The attorney willingly did this. I actually uploaded the emails he sent to the county calling me out and said, this violates rules of professional conduct. Now, you know as well as I do that, and I'm not calling out the State Bar Association good or bad, but they closed their ranks. Someone files a complaint against the attorney, they're like, whoa, 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 what's going on? What's going on? But my point is that, again, it goes back to maybe I'm simple, but rules are rules. He broke the rules. I'm calling him out.
So
I
how
mean,
did
and
that
that's,
go?
yeah.
How did that go then when you went that road with it?
Still waiting to we're still waiting to find out. I actually sent two separate complaints in, and I'm not sure how, like, it varies by each county because you have to send it to, like, there's regional offices. You used to be able to file the complaints online to the Bar Association, but now you have to print it out in a PDF. So I sent when I say I sent a packet, I sent a packet. I filled out the complaint form from the Bar Association. Then I actually printed out the emails from that my attorney sent to the county, calling me out and defaming me and discriminating against me. Then I printed out the letters from my therapist and my treatment team, and the short-term disability proof to say, hey, you know what? Here's the emails. Here's what he did. Here's my proof. And so I'm waiting to hear. I mean, right now I'm going to go with the no news is good news analogy. Because I filed two separate complaints because we discovered through looking at the emails and stuff that there was another complaint we could file against them. And again, her attorney, and you know this because you've been on these calls. These opposing counsel attorneys, they're not nice people. They go for the jugular. They try to rattle you. But what I'm doing is, I guess, to use a gaming analogy, this is chess, and I'm going checkmate. Like, you want to do this? Okay, let's play chess. Let's see where this goes, because you can discriminate against me, but you're breaking ADA rules. You're breaking your own RPCs. Because the other thing I wanted to bring up about mental health with you is that when I was pro se, I had filed several ADA accommodation requests in Montgomery County, and they were either ignored or denied because they don't even know how to handle it. They don't know how to handle mental health. They don't know. They're like, oh, well, here's this dad who has CPSD and depression, and anxiety. What are we supposed to do? They have no idea what to do. So if you don't advocate for yourself, if you don't speak up in a articulate manner, not militant manner, and if you're not educated, they're not going to listen to you or pay attention to you.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. And again, what you just said, this fellow out in Colorado who I'm talking to on Monday, the mental health thing that you just said, that would be informative for him. I don't
They
know.
need ment they need mental health family court advocates is what they need.
I-
I don't know if that's a real thing or not, but that's what I'm going to advocate for. Like, we need that.
That might be what this guy's doing out in Colorado. If he has anything like that in place, I'll connect you with him, okay?
And I'll help you. I'll help you and your organization get it done here. Because, like I said, as an anecdote, and you're going to laugh when I tell you this. So when I went to court in May for the medical expenses, I was pro se, and and again, your opinion here is, I'm curious about your opinion, but to me, family court is nothing more than like a nickel soap opera. It's theater. That's what it feels like to me. But with that being said, walked in the court. The judge, who I'm not going to say the name, is a male judge. Her opposing counsel comes at me like, like I'm the worst father in the world, blah, 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 blah. But guess what the judge said? He looks at opposing counsel and goes, this guy's working. He's doing his best to pay child support. He just paid 15 grand in medical expenses. Give him a break. That's what the judge said. And the judge looks at me and goes, Mr. Gwilliam, what can you pay? I said, Judge, I've just paid almost $30,000 in 6 months. I said, I am not a money machine. I am working full time. What do you like? I can only, you can't get blood from a stone here. And he looked at opposing counsel, said, give this guy a break. We'll set up a payment plan, but give this guy a break. So, at the end of the day, I do believe in my heart that there are some good people out there in the court system, but we'll say that there's more bad than good. And all I want to do through talking to you and connecting with you and others is just say, hey, you know what? If you need to talk to somebody, give me a call. If you're alone, give me a call, because I've been there. Like, 2 out of my 3 kids are alienating me from right now over money and stuff that my ex is doing. It's not. Jeff, I fight every day to be a part of my kids' lives. I fight every day, but because of my job now and I travel a lot, Dad's not around. I'm like, nah, that's not true. Like, I text my kids and talk to them every day. How you doing? What's going on? Good morning. I love you. Good night. Like, I'm always engaging in some kind of communication with them. But my ex won't facilitate a relationship. My son stopped talking to me 3 weeks ago because I wouldn't give him $40 when I pay my ex $4,600 a month in support. And I texted my ex last night saying, we need to fix this. And she doesn't even respond. Like, if that was like, if you were my ex and you came to me and said, hey, so-and-so's not talking to me. Okay, let's figure this out and fix it. They need both parents in their lives. Like I've pulled the data from your website. The shit that happens to kids with one parent being absent is crazy. And I'll leave you with this is that I served 6 years in the military, U.S. Navy. I've been to 50 countries around the world. I'm self-made. I put myself through college and grad school. I have a lot I can teach my kids about real world life, about being in wars, about going out on your own at 18 and joining the military, about surviving. Like those are the things I want to teach my kids. It's not about making sure there's a child support check being deposited every 2 weeks.
All right. Okay. So Jason Gwilliam, the book is Surviving the Storm: A Father's Journey Through Divorce. Amazon. There's the information. There's like a Q code bar thing down here you can use maybe.
Yeah,
The
you can also get a digital as well. It's on Kindle and hard paperback.
There you go. All right.
But the one thing I'll leave you with is I'm actually working with some parents right now, and I'm going to be writing another book, but it's going to be surviving the storm, a parent's story. So I'm working with several different parents, and they're going to be submitting their own stories, and each chapter is going to be a story.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. All
yep.
right.
But this book was not written for me. It was written for my kids. If you get to the first page and the forward and the dedication, it's about my kids. It goes out to them, and then the person that wrote the forward is that gal I'm working with, the gal and court reporter I'm working with down in North Carolina. Because like I said, she's been my Sherpa, so I had her write the forward for me. So this is a collaborative effort. My name might be on the front on the cover, but the story goes out to all the moms and dads that are out there trying to survive.